What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Game School Online, a show about bringing professional artists and developers to talk about their tools and techniques and having a casual conversation over it. So this week, please welcome a special guest. For people watching the recording, you have no idea that we have issues, but I'm finally thankful that we were able to resolve things real quick. So as soon as I switch over, Ilya Prosvirov, do you hear me? Perfect. So I'm gonna pipe you in.
I hear myself again twice.
All right.
Oh.
Well, let me check the Twitch audience until then. But in the time being, I know it might be annoying on your side. Can you just go ahead and go over?
Don't worry.
Yeah, go over a little bit about your background, where you are, where you've been, and where you're heading, just to give our viewers and listeners out there a little context.
I'm from Russia, and I have been learning. I have a diploma in engineering, and I have been learning there for about 6 years. And we had a practice on some factories, some military factories. But when I finished it, we quitted our jobs, most of us, and I worked in another engineering company for about a year. But then I understood that I want to make 3D, make characters, and now I'm trying that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can ask some questions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before we go forward, do you mind switching to your webcam so we can see your lovely face? So I have someone to talk to. We're definitely going to share your screen so that you're showing an awesome piece of artwork there. So let's go switch over. And as soon as you switch
So
that
you
over,
wanna see me?
Yeah, of course I want to see you, man. So in the time being, I'll switch to my screen. Once you have your webcam up, perfect. We can go ahead and start switching over to that. All right, Ilya. Welcome to the show.
Oh. Yeah, hello, Brandon.
So you've been what part of Russia again were you mentioning that you're from?
Oh, I'm near Moscow. It's Moscow district.
Mm-hmm. What's the game development scene like over there? I'm sure there's is it pretty crowded, or is just kind of spread out within Moscow?
No, in Russia, game development is very low. So most of the people are working for outsourced companies.
I see.
And we have several companies who are trying to work and make something by themselves, but it's too few. I don't know how to explain that. You can't.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of people are interested. It sounds like, but it's not like it's not like there's a lot of big companies, right, where everybody can be around.
Most of the companies in Moscow are developing mobile games and browser games, but they're very casual. And if you are a 3D character artist, you are trying to make something like Blizzard have, and you can't find work here because many of companies need people who can do casual stuff.
Right. So do you find yourself and maybe friends of yours or colleagues often move out of Moscow to pursue bigger companies?
I tried to join some companies, but I have made some test tasks, but they refused me. I don't know why. So first the company refused me because I can't read and set up character, but I don't know why I should do that on even junior artist position.
Hmm.
So okay, and then second one I tried to join Sperasoft, uh, made the test task and had an interview also, but they found another man. So
Yeah, yeah.
don't know why.
It's definitely one of those hard things to kind of wrap your head around too, because aside from location too, a lot of these studios, from my experience, like local talent, right? They don't want to always like fly people in if they can avoid it. Um, but I mean, your skill set speaks for itself, and that's something I'm very much looking forward to for you to share. I found you through ArtStation, and I've seen your work, man. And let's go ahead and just share that love, so that everybody knows what I'm talking about. Because you're one of the
Thank you.
yeah, one of the best artists. It speaks for itself, man. So whenever you're ready, just go ahead and go to your share cam, and I'll kill some time while you do the switch. So share your screen and get that set up.
So okay, Brandon, you won't see me, but I hope you will remember me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'll put an image right in the corner so that you're at least there. So yeah, aside
Okay.
from doing this, and as Ilya is kind of pulling up his ZBrush scene, we had some slight technical difficulties, but thank you for the live viewers out there to sticking with us. If you're watching the recording, you have no idea what we're talking about. But this is part of the fun. Why you should join us live to watch the mistakes and have a
Yeah,
little
it's fun.
sense of humor with us. Yeah. So go ahead, Ilya, whenever you want to switch.
So one moment.
Hmm. So as you're switching, can you tell me about why specifically character art and not anything else that you wanted to concentrate on?
Oh, what do you want to know? I can't understand. You want to know why I choose the characters
Yeah, why you
or
choose
what?
characters instead of props or effects or sound? Why characters?
Ah,
Yeah, in particular.
I always wanted to make unique stuff. Like each character is has unique design, and every work is like a new work.
Hmm.
But if you are doing props or another stuff, it's very boring. I think I don't know why.
Hmm.
Everything is repeating, and
Hmm.
I want to make
Hmm.
something hard, something unique.
So have you always went into 3D knowing that you're like, hey, I'm gonna characters is my thing. Characters is all I want to do. Did did you explore anything else, or you just have always known?
Oh no, no! I studied 3D from engineering programs. I have when we had to complete our diploma, I decided to make my diploma in 3D, and I started from SolidWorks, and then I uh, then I found that you should visualize your works in Keyshot. Then I explored 3D Max, and I thought that I would do interiors,
Hmm.
but don't know how I choose characters. Sometimes I know, I know. I one day I have seen a video. Someone was making characters, and I found ZBrush that time, and thought, "Wow, it's amazing program. I should do that."
That's awesome, man. So what are you gonna show us today? If you want to kind of overview
Uh,
this
so
project.
do you see me?
Yes, we see it.
Oh, okay, okay. So I want to show you my no one of the latest work. It was concept done by 100 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I liked it. I have made some small works done by that artist. So
Mm-hmm.
usually I started from block out, and I'm doing block out in ZBrush. I don't like Maya because I want to feel free. I
Mm-hmm.
want to uh, move the things without thinking about polygon stretching. So
Yeah, totally get you, man. Like, because I feel like at least
so
blocking out in Maya sometimes feels very technical up front, right? You got to figure out how the edge flow is clean or not, and you're often concerned with that instead of just being creative, like you said, and just getting an
yes,
idea
yes,
on paper.
you will see. I will come back to Maya, but on the second stage. So let's. I will try to explain you how my workflow is. So I'm starting from blockout in ZBrush. So I have very rough meshes. So on this stage, I'm trying to repeat the concept. So I have one screen, and that's why I use Alt Tab and switching between them.
Hmm. And when you do your block out, do you
So
start with like a sphere, or are you and using Dynamesh?
yes.
Like, how exactly do you create your blockouts?
Oh, for simply, I every part is starting from sphere, and like if you want to add, for example, this one, I usually, for example, if you want to get horn, I usually move it quite roughly. I don't care about 100% likeness, so I'm trying to only see forms uh, and see the shapes are correct. No, something like this. It's usual stuff when you're making them. So I'm trying to look at him from every side. So and when I have quite roughy proportions, and I'm sure they're okay, I'm coming to second stage. So first stage is like just uh, without even Dynamesh. No, I can use Dynamesh, but only for structure deformation and catching shapes. So this is first stage, and let me show you second one because this is
Hmm.
quite boring.
No, no. I mean, like the first stage is important because it lays the foundation. But it sounds like you use mostly
Yeah,
the move and smooth tool to kind of get the rough shapes in there
y-
for your character.
yes, yes. I don't use on first stage any modifiers or brushes. I just use move brush and hard polish. I like to to get some shapes.
I see.
But
Okay.
then we going to the stage two beginning. It is. So on second stage, I'm go using Maya to uh, get shapes more correct. For example, you can see that we have quite rough shapes uh, and this one. So how I get it? For example, we can I can show you on the helmet. So you can see helmet is okay now, but on the first stage it was like we simple coming back. Mm. So on first stage, I uh, I just So I used dumpster brush just to paint some parts where I should have like this one. So and how I get it? So let's do that.
So you use the damp
So
standard brush to do deep cuts. You were saying?
yeah, deep cuts only to see where I should make polygons in Maya on the second stage. So this is beginning of second stage. I import that meshes. So you have to make the shapes completely with big likeness and import them into Maya. And the second stage is I'm just using Quadro over it. So make it leaf. And the music Quadro, and you can see why I use them standard. So I just use it to see in Maya where I should end my quad flow. So this is second stage. I'm trying to get a nice workflow, nice quad flow.
I see. So you use
Then
Maya
I
for the to help with the hard edges and retop a little
yes,
bit. Yeah.
most of the, so then I use extractions, for example, like this, and I usually like to model for subdivide. So when I'm trying to get, for example, all extra edges to look good on the subdivide. For example, like this, but you can see that these angles had mistakes, so we have to add some edges here. No, it will be like this, but it also rounding here. So add this, and usually I'm adding extra edges here, but you can see that here edges can make some issues sometimes. But if you don't want to get cuts like this, you just have to make its end, for example, like this. We delete here, and so no more cuts on this area. So I'm trying in Maya to get all shapes good for subdivide modeling.
Nice. What would you say the percentage? It seems like you like doing your hard surface modeling within Maya the most, and keep ZBrush for organic
Yes,
modeling.
yeah. I like to separate programs. I have. I'm trying to use only one program for only one thing. Just Maya is only for hard surface, ZBrush only for organic, Substance only for texturing, and Marmoset for baking. So it's more comfortable because you will get the same result every time. So if you will learn how to get hard surface meshes in Maya, the all of your meshes will be the same. So you won't fail in any situation.
So,
So, for example, like this,
mm-hmm.
and here we should add. So I'm I've spent more time on cleaning the surface from e- extra edges. For example, here is too big, and you should do like this, and it's clean now. Don't care. I don't care about things like this because it's not modeling for games on this stage. On this stage, you only have to get quite likeness shapes, and if even if you have some issues like this, you can always use hard polish brushes to make it clean. So just I don't want to waste time. So if you can make this in 5 minutes, for example, just don't spend another 5 minutes to clean this surface.
Yeah. I'm always like in this weird spot where I like I'm in ZBrush. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stay in ZBrush. I'm gonna do all this in ZBrush, and then there's just limitations, right? Especially with hard surface. Like, well, in Maya, I can just go ahead and extrude this and create that hard edge. But in ZBrush, you gotta like kind of do several steps to get the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard surface in ZBrush is very uncomfortable because, for example, in Maya you can I can make something like this. I can Shift D to copy it, use another layer, put it here, and try something. For example, I want to bevel, and I want to move, back. For example, I want to bevel. I made something wrong, but I can be sure that I have another helmet. I also you can do this in ZBrush, but in Maya you can you. So what I mean that you have to use the modeler in ZBrush if you want to get real hard surface stuff because there are a lot of bevels there and you can't make them just by hand. So you have to use the modeler, but it's so uncomfortable and it's becoming you use not one program, you use ZBrush and the modeler. It's already two programs. So I don't like that. So we going back to the second stage. Uh, Beginning. So here is helmet on the second stage. Oh, let's focus. So it's okay. You can always change the shapes now because you have good edge workflow and even if you move something, for example, you will move helmet here and you won't get any troubles on these areas because if you dynamesh it, for example, okay, use polish. So see, 82K, 20 is not enough. And for example, like this, if you want to move it, you you're starting to get batch stretching areas, and it's very hard to manipulate with meshes because if you want to just just move the angle here, you can't move it without destroying all the surface. On let's show me.
So ZBrush doesn't
Ah.
have deformers or anything yet, right?
Oh
Just
no, I
mostly
use
move
deformers.
tools.
Yeah. I like move tools, but deformers I like just one deformer, like just I want to show you. Like this one, I like bend. Ah, hmm. I just like only one deformer band. It's easy to get shapes.
Yeah, I didn't
So
discover that like secret menu until like way later, you
secret
know?
menu.
Yeah, that secret menu of deformers, it's not very obvious. And that's pretty much ZBrush. It has layers and layers of menus and
Yeah,
it's not very
it's
clear. Yeah.
yeah, it has a lot of menus, but simply you can get all the shapes without using all of them. So, for example, what I wanted to show you that you saw what were when I tried to move it when it was animated. So when I trying to move now, you can see that you can move without destroying the surface. So mm, if you have modeled it in Maya with quite low polygon count, you can uh, move and change it on any stage without destroying the surface. It's very easy and comfortable because with Dynamesh you won't change something without wasting time on clearing. So it's just what I like. I like to feel that I can change something on any stage. I'm trying to save that until the finish. So you can see now I have some parts. So let me show how it looks in my. Uh, so I simply imported all the parts and used uh, quad how it called quad paint, you know. So when you get all the shapes in low poly, you export them into ZBrush, and the second stage on the final is looking something like that. Beginning second. It was beginning stage, it middle stage, and say brand new.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you've explored different ways to kind of like different how different artists approach their ZBrush workflow, right? How they might be staying within the program, like how. And we kind of cover this a bit. I want you to kind of expand it in specific. How Z modeling is one of those things. Like, yeah, you can technically do low poly modeling, but there's a lot of shortcomings to it. Do you see that part of ZBrush where they can tweak things where you will finally feel comfortable, like this is actually now a good option besides Maya? Like, what exactly about Z Modeler that you feel like, they need to fix this part before it becomes a permanent thing for me, in your opinion?
Oh, I don't like Zimodeler because you have to learn it. It has another interface. It's not common like in 3D Max or Maya. So it's like you have to learn another program. But you can anyway you can't make many hard surface stuff in Zimodeler. Anyway, it hasn't mm, much options. I don't know, and it's not comfortable to make real hard and things with many meshes inside. It's very uncomfortable to work.
Yeah, I
So
totally agree with you. Like, just a little comment. It's like to me at least when I'm working with it, it's I'm trying to like speak another language because I'm translating it through Maya first of how I would do it in Maya, and then it's like, all right, how would I do this with Z Modeler?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's that weird hiccup. But I understand totally what you're saying.
So this is second stage. It's finished now. So you can see that I don't have any details. So on this stage, I'm trying to be sure that uh, you get total likeness with the concept. So now you can manipulate with the meshes because you have subdividing. And if you think that this helmet should be more thin, you can use standard things like to change some shapes. But I like to. It's like polishing proportions because when you have many details, it's easy uh, to see where they go wrong. Also, second stage is like this. You have all meshes ready for details, so they are clean. And I like that stage because even if you edit some details on the third stage, you can come back to this stage and repeat or make another stuff. So if you made big damages, for example, on the third stage, and you haven't liked it, but you don't have history information in your file, you can always open second stage and just rebuild the part, and you can just export, for example, this mesh into your next stage. So second stage is just mm, taking much. I don't know how to say it. It's it's like first and second stage taking about 70% of time.
Just a little more than low poly, right? Just a little more detail. Or,
Yeah, yeah. So Brent, sorry. What he said.
so like the first stage is roughing out the shapes and I think just the separate subtools that you're defining for your character, and the second stage is more about just defining those subtools even more. Would you say the
Yeah,
third? Yeah, yeah.
second stage is just refining and making proportions more perfect. So you you could have some mistakes on the first stage, and on the second stage you are repairing that part.
Yeah, your second stage, just to clarify, is probably mostly people's final stage. It looks pretty good and polished at this point, so I'm looking forward to what you're doing with your next stage and what you define.
Yeah,
You know.
many people use this stage for final version because it's like another style version. So many games haven't many details, and like Clash of Clans, for example, they have only polished surfaces without many information on them. So you can use it mm, for another stylization, I think. So it's second stage. I don't know what to say about it. You
Well,
can ask me something.
yeah, yeah. Like you were mentioning earlier in the show about how Moscow is kind of like a hotbed or a very popular place for mobile companies, right? So you're saying, also mentioning now too, that the second stage is mostly about big shapes for mobile phones, right? As a character artist,
Yeah, yeah.
did you have to learn that through the job? Like, what exactly? How did you come about learning that big shapes are more important than detail when looking at a smaller screen?
Oh, I have seen. I just I think I've seen all of the tutors in the internet. I have seen Blizzard tutors also, and many other great man stuff. And each of them has something unique. So, for example, when I was watching one man from Blizzard, I noticed some things that he used, and I think they're perfect. But many of his workflow is quite old, I think, because they don't use Substance Painter. For, they just started to use it. But many of artists I have seen use Photoshop for texturing, and uh, so everything is coming to Substance Painter right now, and painting by hand is more takes more time, and games are getting bigger and bigger, and everybody wants to get more and more characters, so speed is increasing every time, and you shouldn't waste time on that. So I'm trying to learn that how to fix on in Substance Painter. Oh no, I will show you later. But now I just mm, what I want to say that I have found that each artist has unique style. For example, you can see that Hunter Gage has his unique damages, and like mm, how where I just mm, so for example, Hunter like to use triangulated shoulders, and mm, his damages is like, I don't know. Mm,
Like his
don't know how to
li-
explain that.
like more chipped, more silhouette. So these are like the minor details that you're talking about. That is more for stage 3, where you're getting closer and closer to your character, and you don't really notice it at a certain distance. Correct?
Oh, yeah, let's show third stage. I will try to explain it later.
Mm-hmm.
So third stage has only different with the detailed information.
So how do you choose? So this is stuff that students and even professional artists struggle sometimes, where they're at like this stage 3, where they have to do these minor silhouette damages pass, right? But try not to overdo it as well. I mean, this is, I think, is something that you're probably going to go over. Like, how do you balance it out so that it's not overdoing it, but just enough that it reads well?
I don't know. I have some feeling. I can't explain it. I don't have a degree in art, and I'm trying to. I've noticed one thing that, uh, for example, uh, if you there is a thing like uh, visual memory. I would rather call it. So if you, for example, if you don't know anatomy, but you every day look on bodybuilders, for example, and you see them every day, and maybe you don't even think however muscles however muscle is connected to each other, and how it is called, but you have visual information in your mind. I just you can't understand that, but you can't explain how you feel it, but you have it just in mind. So for example, if someone will draw a man, and you have a big visual experience, you can see where there are mistakes. But you don't even have known anatomy. But you can see that just because uh, you saw that man like 1,000 times, and you saw how his shoulders and uh, neck, maybe another muscles are connected with each other, and how they look like. And I don't know. It's like visual experience. So if you are playing only one game with one style, it will be in your mind anyway. For example, if you are playing World of Warcraft, like me, I've played for many years, like 6 years or 7 years I played, and mm, yeah, I haven't learned that style, but I just have seen it every day. So when you look every day on orc, on talents, and on armors, you can see uh, the difference between details and shapes. So if you are playing a lot, for example, any man who have played Warcraft 3 a lot of time, and he's very far away from art, but he can can say very fast if that image is from Warcraft 3 or not, because he has some visual information in his mind, and it's I think it's working like that. So you try to try to look through and watch on many pictures, many stuff, and this information will be in your mind anyway. It won't be lost, so it will help you anyway.
Yeah, I definitely sign off on that. I mean, any visual cues and muscle memory that you build, like you said, through experience, slowly starts to make sense and click together. Um, so the more exposure you are to great art, right, or you surrounding yourself by talented people, that will rub off um, in a very organic way. So yeah, like I'm with you on that. Like I did go to an art school, but it's not like they taught us how to like really teach damage control, right? It's not like, hey, when you're applying damages on a prop, I'm an environment artist by trade. They didn't really tell you there's a mathematical rule to it. I'm sure there is, right, some kind of formula to have the right ratio of damage on a prop or character that feels correct. But a lot of it right now, I feel, is driven by intuition, just an artist
Yeah,
feeling it's
yeah,
too much or not. Yeah.
I think it's intuition, I think it may be a taste. So, for example, each man has its own level of taste. So, for example, one man can say that it's enough, or another say that it's not enough. So, yeah, one image can be seen different by other people, so by different people. So if you will give a concept to 10 men, you will get 10 different models, so each of them will add something that he think it's okay. And this is, I think, how it works. But what I wanted to say about damages, so damages are important because it makes characters moodness, like uh, for example, big scratches and make him more aggressive. So for example, this concept is very, it's not aggressive, it's like character from I think like Dota or like Lineage, and it shouldn't be very aggressive, like in um, how it's called, like in mm,
Are
forgot
you,
the name of the game.
Wow. Which genre? Is it like a WoW or
No. A game which has many scratches, damages.
like Gears of War?
No. Stylized.
Oh, stylized. I can't think of.
Dark Siders. Oh,
Oh,
whoa, I
Darksiders.
remember.
Okay. All right. It's a
Yeah,
stylized game with a lot of damage. Yeah.
yeah. It's quite aggressive game. Like every concept and every model is quite aggressive. But what makes it feel aggressive is damages. So it has big many scratches. For example, I can show you that I like to use this tool. You can use it too. I just haven't seen. I don't know why many artists don't use it. It's very useful with XMD. So you can simply get your library of brushes, for example, and you can name it. For example, I have mm, metal, and there are brushes only to make surface details for metal. I don't use it, but it's nice to have everything organized. So, for example, on stones, I have damages and some brush for sculpt. I don't use many of them, but it's very useful on the third stage when you're doing detailization, and you should add, for example, damages. I know that I should open this add-on and get brushes from it. I don't like to search in that mess where there are brushes. I just open my shelf and have it ready. So you can see that damages make characters more aggressive, and for example, it's not oh, it's not final result, but for example, uh, you can always add some information. For example, like this, you can add standard use standard some brushes. For example, these.
And which tool are you using again? Damp standard and pinch, or what
Yeah,
tools do you do damages
you,
mostly with?
damages mostly, for example, organic damages. I usually use dump standard brushes and standard and almost nothing else. You can see that, for example, you can see how you can get and pinch. Yes, pinch if you to make it more thin.
I'm
Mm.
curious too, like kind of like the Photoshop rabbit hole. Uh, we get lost with, or at least get too intrigued with millions of brushes out there, right? It's getting to that point where everyone has a brush pack or
Yeah,
insert mesh pack. It's like, oh my god, and it would take days. Like I've been in personal projects where I'm like, would spend a bulk of it just looking at brushes to to shortcut things, but it would have been faster if it just stuck with a few basic ones and just make it already. Because there's just so many out there. Do you have like a nice little comfortable rule of thumb for that when it comes to just it seems like you have only like a small suite of brushes that you rely on that pretty much takes care of everything for you, at least for this character. Am I correct in that assumption?
Oh, my very favorite brushes are like like sets. Let's try it. Where I like hard polish, but I can't find polish is okay, but I don't use it. So last time I use often standard clay buildup, clay standard clay. So clay is okay when you are trying to get. Oh, let's isolate it because it's lagging. When you're trying to use some organic stuff and you don't want to get uh, bad surface, like if you're using clay build-up, for example. If you're using clay build-up, you will have no with squad. No, you feel that you have something. Uh, if it's not, if it is organic mesh, you should always smooth it to get some shapes. No, I don't know how to feel the difference. You should taste all the brushes and see what you like. It's just I made some crap stuff. Don't know. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of that is through testing all the brushes. ZBrush is in the last few updates, it's just been adding so much by default out of the box that and it's very, some of them are very subtle between them too, where it makes it even more difficult. It's like, what exactly is this thing doing that's different from the other one? It's so
yeah.
subtle, and it just clutters up space and everything.
But I noticed one thing when you when I have started learning, and many of artists use ready brushes, for example, for brushes for surfaces, for orb details, for noise. But you will notice that your meshes will become to look like with each other. So every you can see that, for example, if you want to use these damages, if you have it, if you have several same damages on small area, it's very noticeable. So it's bad. So I'm trying to, if I don't want to sculpt and to want to waste time, I'm trying to use different damages to not to be noticeable in one area. For example, you have here you have two damages with the same shapes. It's very noticeable, and if you don't want to get this, you have to do two versions. In first versions, you just can uh, change first damage, for example, just not to be the same as second. Uh, so it's not, for example, you make you spend some seconds and it's not noticeable that they are the same. For example, you can do like this and then them step. For example, like this. So it's not noticeable that they're the same. And the second version, you can use the same damage, but on different side. For example, okay, it's right. For example, right here, and you can't uh, see them at the same time. So if you don't want to spend much time and you have to and want to finish the project, you can just make cheats like this. And also I use different like three versions of detailization. For example, slash damages. Then I like to use uh, mile it fast. It's nice. It's a good damage. It's not noticeable on sculpt, but it's very good on texturing stage. So when you have baked your textures, it will be easy to make different colors in that area. And it is the second, and the third is just just no, flat surfaces sometimes.
All right, Ilya. We're almost at the hour mark, but I definitely want to see this in your final stages. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and flip forward to that. You're talking about your baking process and somewhat of your
But
texturing
yes, yes.
process. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So you were mentioned before that you use marmosets primarily. I'm guessing you've done bakes with Painter and everything else, and marmoset just. I agree with you there. Like marmoset have been giving me the best bakes and the easiest out of all the programs. What is your reasoning why marmoset is your choice for baking?
Oh, marmoset. I noticed that marmoset is like don't know, maybe 5 times faster than because the marmoset uses GPU, no GPU bakes with your video card, but Substance Painter uses core, uh, your processor core, and the processor is always uh, slower than video card. So uh, I have noticed that because I used to work with Substance Painter, I hadn't known about Marmoset, and I baked all the stuff in Substance Painter, and I thought it's a it's a perfect program. But after it was the first program which was quite easy to bake, and I think I thought the time that it would be forever, but then I found Marmoset, and it's really more comfortable. I will try to explain you. So, for example, yeah, we just had wasted time on the third stage. So, third stage is just you get all the detalization that you wanted, and so it's lagging. Can't rotate. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that. 2019 version of ZBrush is very useful because if you have a bad personal computer like me, you can always use folders. For example, you can see that I can't rotate it without lagging, but if you want to work with body, you can simply turn off the rest things, and you can rotate it well, and it's not lagging anymore, and it's very useful, and you don't have to waste time on merging meshes and clicking every time on it. It's boring. It's very useful now in 2019 version. So oh so let's go to the retopology version. So on retopology stage, I import all high poly models. They're decimated, so it's not lagging. Oh, you can see how many faces I have, for example. How it is. Oh, 1 million, no, 1.5 million polygons. It's not so big, so my is not lagging. And when you import all your high poly meshes into Maya, you just simply begin to retop like this. You make it leaf and draw polys. So trying to follow the edges, and it's very useful in Maya. It's very comfortable because, for example, if you can't see what is happening here, you can make new layer and turn off, turn off. You can choose mesh, paste it into this layer, hide it, and continue to draw polygons. And in any moment you can see what it is. So very comfortable, and don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, Maya is great for its modeling tool. The only complaint I have with Autodesk is that they haven't really updated for so long, which some artists love.
Yeah,
But like I see, I don't know if you played with other 3D programs like Silo or what other, what's another one that's been kind of um,
ah, do you mean
like the
for a top?
yeah for 3D modeling, like just these other programs. What's the one with the that starts with an
Yeah,
M? It starts with an M. I forgot. I don't remember offhand. But it really utilizes Boolean tools strongly, right? Which is are like nice innovations, but Maya's just still the standard for many reasons. It's just reliable
yeah,
in that way.
mine is the same, and it's very comfortable to work. I don't like to use much programs. I have seen many artists use another program for topology, second program for bake, third program for modeling, and fourth program for sculpting, five for texturing, and the sixth to uh, to polish textures. And it's a uh, massive amount of programs.
Right. It's definitely is inviting a problem because essentially, sure, if you're working at home by yourself, fine, use as many programs as you want that you're comfortable with. But what I've
Yeah,
seen is when you go to like a workplace and you're like, can you buy 6 programs for me so that I can work? It becomes very expensive very quickly, which is a issue I
yeah,
feel like
yeah, yeah.
a lot of artists don't you're not very aware of because it makes sense. Essentially, you're asking them to buy like $15,000 programs because you're so used to workflow and
Yeah. Companies
most
don't like to use many programs.
yeah
I don't I can't understand why some of employers can't use Maya. For example, I wanted to. I had an interview and they asked me if I can work in 3D Max instead of Maya. I just I was shocked because Maya is very standard and it's hard to come back from Maya to 3D Max because Maya is more comfortable and it's like a comeback from uh, Mercedes to for example uh, to what is cheaper car, for example Opel, I don't know. No, it's I can't understand why studios don't like even to use Maya because it's yeah, maybe it's a bit expensive, a bit more expensive, mm, but it's really comfortable to work. I don't know
yeah
why.
yeah it's an industry standard. I know there's like a
Yeah,
lot of talk with Blender, and it is one of those programs that eventually I have to sit down and wrap my head around because I feel like people are moving towards that. But outside of that, yeah, it's weird that people are so resistant to something that everybody's using. Um, so
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to show you something because I'm feeling that we have a very big time with nothing happening on the screen. So mm, let's have a rush. For example, we have mm, retopped version. You don't have a UV, just it's mesh here. Uh, so you when you have retopped, let's UV it. So for example, I have different UV for weapon and body. So when you have made retopology, you're starting to make UV. So I don't. I think I don't have to show that because it's boring and stuff. For example, you can watch it somewhere else. Yes, it's very boring. And when you have ready your UVs for weapon and for you starting to bake in marmoset. Also, I will try to find where I have a uh, bake. Bake. Come on.
So
I like marmoset because you
Mhm.
we again started to talk in the same moment. So I just wanted to say that I like marmoset because you don't have to make explosion of meshes. And if you use substance painter to bake parts which are very close to each other, for example, if you want to bake these three things and you will bake them without explosion, you will have artifacts on bakes, and it will have projection on the from the second and the second from third, and to avoid it, you should separate them. For example, how was my workflow before Marmoset? I used. I would like to show you when you have high poly model and low poly model. So you should yeah, like no like this. You should move this thing down and this thing away from the body, and the same with the whole mesh. So if you want to bake in the substance painter, you have to make explosion and export it, and you have all the meshes to be exported in the separated way. But in Marmoset, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, that's a
So, for
huge
example,
time saver right there. I was so used to doing that
yeah,
before with props, and yeah, it takes a lot of time to explode it, export, and you're having two sets of files.
yeah. But in Marmoset, you can see that it's very comfortable because you can have, for example, uh, for example, this. You can export any part. Oh, let me show. I can. You can see the changes in real time. So let's close this one. No, close. Come on. And what I wanted to show you. I think it will take much time if I will show you everything. So bake body. For example, you have changed the head. So, oh come on, why you don't? So don't know it's lagging. Так, for example, you have to find where is the helmet baking. Yeah, here it is. So if you have changed something in your low poly model, or if you face some difficulties is uses on high poly, you can change something here, and I don't know, for example, maybe you should I should make some damages on this one. So, for example, you changed UV, exported it into your baking show folder. So bake, and for example, call this head new bakes. and you can see uh, the result will be seen instantly. For example, let's delete this one and import our new head. So where it is? Where it is? No. Small breaker. It's not under cage. Bake. Oh, bake new head. So where are you? I can't understand why it's not showing. Why
It's
it
probably
is invisible.
no
Don't
worries.
know why.
Well, I mean, we're about that time. If you don't mind, can you maybe pop up your final file?
Yeah.
Let's
Finally.
go ahead and show that, and see it in all its glory.
Yeah. No, on this stage, I like in Marmoset that you can use all meshes separated. Each
Mhm.
folder e- for separated meshes. Body in these folders, uh, and other stuff. So it's comfortable to organize work and to bake in real time. You can always see the defects and diseases. So, for example, you have baked that, and let's open. I think that the brush is slowing my computer. So you can see that I have 3 stages on the ZBrush. The third stage is the detailization. Then you import your model into Maya. Doing retop here, don't use another program. So when you have done retop, you just making UVs. And when you have made UVs, you can export your meshes for baking. So each of them you can export it separately, or just whole model and separate it in Marmoset. So let's open.
So this is the final stage. Sorry, we're about like 2 minutes away. So, I know we had a later start. I think we definitely need a part two of this because it's the final stage right here. You have your textured file, and would love to kind of go over
Yeah,
just dedicated texturing because that's a huge part of this process.
yeah, I'm quite slow in English, so Brendan, you just have to hurry up me
No,
because
no
um,
worries. No. I mean, it's a huge process to go through. I mean, thank you for taking us through the whole thing. But like, I think we're probably gonna have to do a follow up episode that is dedicated to texturing and presentation, which is, I feel like, the most important stage for a lot of artists to kind of show off
it,
your work, right? And yeah,
yeah, it's for the stage, but it takes so much time. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know how to show you in some minutes.
No, it's all right. So I think
Oh,
at this point we can at least leave it off with this, and I'm gonna definitely follow up with you for another when you have time to a part two to this interview, because I feel like, man, I want to really know your process with texturing after getting that baking process, especially how you show off your work too, like what you prefer. Um,
oh, thank you, Brendan.
Yeah,
I just want
definitely.
to
Hmm.
I want to show you the process more correctly because I failed and process is quite wasting time. I just can't show you what I would like to show. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know how to say
definitely.
it.
No, definitely. I think if anything, we want you back. Do a part two to this. Because holy crap, look at all those layers. That's what I'm saying. There's no way we're gonna go over that in 5 minutes, and I don't think it's gonna do its justice. So people are definitely gonna want to follow up with you. So I'll send out that invite, and at some point, yeah, let's go ahead and do a part two to this, and go over to texturing and final presentation. Well, Ilya, I mean, this is the part of the show where I kind of hand the mic over to you. If you can switch to your webcam, actually, we can start to
Okay.
say bye to each other. So I'm going to switch to my camera until you get that back up. And I want to thank everybody for coming on the show. Ilya, it's been a pleasure. I am definitely following up with him for a part two because, damn, it is looking good. And Ilya, this is the part of the show where you can promote, tell people to go to your art station or anything that you want to say. The mic is yours.
Oh, Brandon, let's close myself. Well, I would like to say you that you always should go forward and don't stay, don't go back. Try to be motivated. I have a problem with that, and I think everybody has that problem because when you are doing an art, you always fall into a depression and into procrastination. You don't want to do anything, but you should learn how to escape that and continue your work in any situation you have in life. You should be organized and learn how to make yourself go forward.
I love that message, man.
I hope you understand what I mean.
No, I totally understand. It's always going forward, improving yourself. I mean, it is definitely a way to keep going, man. It's a way to always go to your next goals. Even if you're Ilya, we're seeing how awesome he is as a 3D artist and as a character artist. He's constantly trying to improve and get to the next stage. And I know the Ilya 5 years from now is gonna kill the Ilya now. Which is how we should measure all our progress. So Ilya, thank you for coming on to the show, and definitely looking forward to a part two to this. All right, guys, thank you. See you guys next week.